comic book. We're talking about the Star Trek book, The Return. I just, but on the end for comic books, I just finished Gunslinger Spawn. I'm all caught up. It's still the Angel Saga, but it would be a part 2. We'll get to that in some other video. For now, that's all you need to know. Anyway, back to me. I didn't find out about these in order. I thought that the third one was the second one, and the second one was the first one. I didn't even know about the very first book. So if you can excuse the fact that I am doing these out of order, I'm kind of stumbling a little bit today, by all means proceed. If not, this review ain't for you. Sorry. I like Shatner's relationship. Shatner, Kirk's relationship with Taylani and how he saves her from being on like a hospice type deal. Hears her right in the nick of time. Don't even need to worry about that. I mean, treats it like it's a cold. So I would love to do that to so many. But unfortunately, we don't have Klingon technology. And also, the Klingons apparently have heaven now. In the book series, anyway. And their heaven is like a little asteroid. Or at least that's how I pictured it. It is either a tiny planet or a little asteroid. I just like this concept of the fact that so many people, if you can call the Klingons people, who believe in like, they're basically space Vikings. But they believe in like a Valhalla. But they've been Christianized enough that they have heaven too. Unlike because Valhalla was kind of the Vikings' heaven, or at least that's the impression the Earth Vikings anyway. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. I kind of always have compared the Klingons to space Vikings, and the Vulcans have always been, they haven't had anything to compare. And humans have always been us, but in a higher state, as most Star Trek fans compare their Star Trek to. And the Borg is organized chaos. You don't get to see a lot of the Borg in this one. Like I said in the last review, it was really more about the Symmetrous Vulcans. And the leader was named Strek. I remember that because I laughed every single time. It was hilarious. I just pictured him going, donkey! Shrek. I'm gonna assume you're laughing. Because Shrek being a Vulcan, and yeah, he dies at the end. Poor Shrek. I was like, oh no, what's Fiona gonna do? If it wasn't Shrek, it was something real similar, and the audio recording sounded like it was saying Shrek. But that might have been my ears. But needless to say, the bad guy dies at the end, and it is reaffirmed that Kirk and Spock are brothers, and they find out through a mind meld that their father was secretly murdered, like I kind of called it in the last one. But yeah, it didn't leave a lot of room for a sequel. So what do? You make a sequel. You don't stop it. You don't stop at least 4 books. You make a 5th book. Even when number 3 says, this really doesn't need a sequel. Because, like I said, Shatner ends it. I keep saying Shatner. Kirk ends it with Taylani on the planet that's like Klingon heaven. And he gets his happily ever after. It, it didn't really require a sequel, but I'll still read the next ones to confirm or see how the story moves forward. Yeah. They introduce an officer from Strange New World's descendant. I don't know how that's possible, but being that character came first, there's probably a way. With Star Trek, there's always a way. It's always time travel, and there's always a way. That's what my stepdad says. It's always time. There's Star Trek's always time travel, and there's always a way. Yeah, that's how come I didn't push it aside when I said in the last one that this series of books now take place in an alternate timeline where Kirk does survive, and we find out he meets Picard a lot earlier. Even if they do meet again in the prime timeline, in this timeline, they meet and interact and have done so at least twice. But they could say that Project Phoenix had something to do with time travel. I mean, they're thinking about bringing back that guy that was very by the book in Picard. I didn't like him, but apparently somebody did. You know, the one with the beard. Can't think of his name. But they are thinking about bringing him back. Or at least that's the rumor at this present time. So, like I said, anything's possible. That's why I'm making and reading these series of, because someone very reliable told me that's probably part of the story. So, odds are it's probably part of the story. there's that. Let's see. Bad guys were the symmetrists. The symmetrists in the TV show need to be made interesting, like in this book. And having listened to the first chapter of the next one, Kirk kind of turns into a legend, like Robin Hood, where he's hiding out and still making people's lives better, in Rowan Hood. Regardless, Yeah. That's who Kirk is in that timeline. They're like, how can this guy still be alive? But they like catch him on this freighter, and it's like, and the doctor that might be related to Mbanga from before, she is like, I know who you are. And then he's just like, you don't know who I am. And she's like, I do. And then he saves the day. I don't want to give any more of this book away, but like I said, I'd be really curious to see how they do the sequel. Um, Next books, I know I've said this for a long time now, but next actual traditional media review book is going to be The World According to Bob. Took me a while to read it because, yeah, I had other books to read. I had a life. And part of me wants to remain in the Star Trek universe for a little while, but I figured I've been promising you guys the World According to Bob review for long enough, even if it does have drug use in it. But that's part of real life. We'll get to that one. We'll get to that in that review. So again, just a heads up for any of my younger viewers out there. You might want to skip this one. The next review. This is fine, but the next review might not be for you. Yeah. When you watch this, I will have just went on a trip with my brother and his lovely family. Hopefully it all goes well. Always come back with new ideas for the book, for you guys, for the show. Um, so, until next time, I hope you all do well in your many adventures. Take care, my friends. Bye-bye. I didn't give too much away, did I, Mom? I mean, I want them to read the book.